Hi, this is Fleeks. If you saw my last spell chest video, we played some opponents in the 1400 to 1600 range, so sort of simulating what you might get out of your first few opponents. Let's now move up into the 1600 range, and we get the white pieces. I am picking opponents out of the lobby, which I don't usually do, but do want to get a certain range of opponent for educational purposes. Usually I would recommend c6 instead, because now our opponent has to contend with the threat of this bishop. So they are trying to take our king with the jump. We should not let them do that. And they've done a freeze to prevent our rook from coming and jumping the pawn, taking the queen. Unfortunately for our opponent, we can counter freeze the queen. And now we need to make sure they can't make a second threat on our king. Probably their plan was to bring the bishop here, threatening this jump as well. And then we would have to move the king, lest we blunder it to the other piece that we didn't take. But now there is nothing they can really do to save the queen from the jump. So let's go ahead and take, since they don't have a immediate threat. Probably see rook takes. Yep, that makes total sense. And now I very much imagine they want to come and take this pawn with check, which would be unpleasant to deal with. There's also potential ideas of taking there. I don't really care so much about the h2 pawn. Let's bring the queen, guarding this, threatening some sort of scholar's mate idea. I'm not scared of bishop here and freeze because we have the counter check, and then we would just pick up the bishop, given that black would have to deal with the check. So we get rook takes h2. Now, of course, it's very interesting to consider taking the pawn. Immediately we would need to think about what happens if black, say, freezes. I don't think that's going to be a big issue because the bishop has direct line of sight, so we'll have a jump in case they try to block. Let's go ahead and take. Queen also defends this, so it's not really possible to make a big attack on our king. That is a free knight, it looks like. Let's take it. King here is forced. After that, we can take the pawn. Not sure there's any big reason not to. That is not a free bishop, because the rook would jump the knight and take our queen, which would be very bad. So let's take with check. The dream is to get this fork. Although, oh wow, okay, king on the run. Really here, what I'm not even going to think, I'm just going to keep checking, because the king can't get back. Actually, that's, in normal chess, that would be checkmate, I think. So they're going to have to freeze or jump with the bishop, which immediately loses to the counter jump. That's also a move. But we can save our king. Just nudge the king up. Now the only legal move is to do that. Actually, it might have been a little bit more accurate for me to freeze all this stuff and then push the king up, because then it would just have been checkmate and won. But this is equally winning. We'll just have to wait for them to find the only legal move. Okay, they do find it. Only legal move, but now we jump the bishop, we take the king, we win the game. Good game to my opponent. Let's have a brief look through this game. So I played e4, which I very much recommend as white. And immediately, black may be getting themselves into a little bit of a dangerous situation, because our bishop can come attacking this square. There's also, I have a whole bag of tricks, which I'm not unleashing quite yet in this series, that involve bishop here and a freeze. So it's really quite scary to play e5 if you're not prepared for all of these tricks. So I very much recommend, c6 instead, because then this is off limits, and bishop c4 would be met with e6, just cutting off these diagonals. So we brought the bishop, threatening the king. And this is sort of a common issue you can see, even a little bit higher into the rating levels. They did notice, good for them, that this rook jump is a threat on the queen. But unfortunately, we can keep the queen stuck, and then we'll be able to take it on the next turn. Just to show what would have happened had I not found c3. So let's say I had frozen this. Sure, a3, why not? Then black would have this move, seemingly hanging both the queen and the bishop. But if I take either one, then the one I didn't take would take the king. And that would be very bad indeed. So here I would have to make some very sad move, like king e2. So fortunately, we didn't fall victim to that. There is another move here. Besides freezing and blocking, we could hit this check. Obviously, this gives up the bishop, but we do make a very forcing line here. King has to take or move. Then we take the queen, and then black would probably have taken. And this is also fine. We have check. Game goes on. We're just, I think, down a bishop relative to what happened in the game. But with the advantage that the king's a little bit on the run. That would also have been fine. Let's return to what actually happened. Yeah, I blocked this. Opponent did try to make another threat here. And we took the queen, of course. Very good to take available queens when your king's not under attack. Opponent took with the rook, so basically we won a queen for the price of rook. Had I not brought the queen, this would have been kind of unpleasant. But we did, and from here, yeah, we get this great attack here, and it's very, very difficult for black. We have to be a touch careful about our back rank, but with us having all this tempo with the queen, white is doing very, very well. So critical mistake was definitely bringing the queen here where it can be taken by the rook. Okay, let's see if we can find another game. All right, we've got white again. Let's play e4. We get the best move, in my opinion, c6. Let's play, I don't know, put the bishop. Why not? This is something you see often at this level. And also is a perfectly fine move. Ooh, okay, e5 instead of e6. So this does allow some attacks if we want to go for it. So we could freeze this stuff, take here, and then black would have to deal with a check. We come in with the queen or other pieces. That sounds like a lot of fun. Let's make it happen. Check. So forced to counter freeze the bishop. Can try this, but oh, that's a move. Yeah, that's actually. I probably should have frozen the bishop as well. Yeah, if I move the queen, we hang the king, which is no good at all. So let's prevent that. Now, okay, king takes, of course. We'll take the bishop. So that was just a bishop trade. But black's king is now on the run, and we've won a pawn. So this is also looking pretty good. Black wants to develop the bishop. We can give a check. I don't know how much it does right off the bat. Let's develop a knight. I'm not scared of this, or that, for that matter. We have more checks if we want them. Now, let's see, trying to decide between this and this, and deciding whether I want to freeze. If I freeze, there's a counter freeze and the bishop can come attack, but black only has the light square bishop, and our king is on a dark square. So I don't think that can do a massive amount of damage. So let's come in and check. Our king is perfectly safe. And now, as far as I can tell, there aren't any good counterattacks, so we will be able to come in with the queen. I'm not really calculating here, just assuming that good things are going to happen. Ooh! Yes, good things are definitely going to happen. So this is a move, but notice that black is going to be in check after our next move, and they'll have to deal with that. So we are free to attack or take other stuff, namely the queen. Wouldn't that be amazing if we could take the queen? And what do you know? We can. If we jump, take, black is now in check, king needs to be saved. Their freeze is on cooldown because, of course, we just did that. Freeze attack. I think the rook might be gone as well. Oh, I need to watch my time, though. So, yeah, king can't go there or there. King will need to come out. We'll take the rook. Or black resigns. Okay, that's understandable. Because, yeah, things are kind of all going away. Let's review. We get e4, c6, which is a very good start from black. And this is probably the most aggressive line. If your opponent knows the proper response of e6, it's maybe not going so far. But unfortunately for our opponent, they played e5 instead of e6, with the big disadvantage that now our bishop has access to this diagonal and can attack the king, and our queen is also ready to arrive. Now, I hit this check. It's sort of instinctive, I guess, for me to make it a real check, even though it doesn't matter whether the bishop is frozen as well. It's still an attack on the king. And this was probably a little bit inaccurate, because black found this move that I just missed, attacking my king. So if I were to, say, bring the queen, oops, wrong bank. Yeah, there goes my king. That would be terrible. So fortunately, we did not do that. Yeah, we attacked the bishop, we took. So that was a nice trade, and our position is now very, very good. If bishop here, we have many options. The normal chess tactic of hitting the king with the discovery, which is probably working here. We came in with the knight. A reason to go this way is that there's maybe ideas of bringing the bishop here, potentially via a jump. And at this point already, since both the queen and the king are frozen, I think... Oh, black can save it. If they counter-freeze the knight, which is forced, then to save the queen, they need to block this jump. So they can do that with... oh, actually, probably the knight would be pretty good. Threatening the knight, although it's not like they're going to be able to take it, because we would have played this check, and this pawn move does not work at all because we would jump and take. And this is looking pretty nice for white, just optically. But they left open this file for the queen, so we took, and yeah, there's... Oh yeah, the knight covers this, actually, so only one square. There could be a mate here, potentially. I don't immediately see it. I would have just taken the rook. We're now up a queen and a rook for a jump. Oh, okay, and I guess for a knight. But, yeah, no, this is looking very, very, very nice for white. So, I think the fundamental issue here was playing e5 instead of e6. Good game. Let's see if we can get another. All right, this time we've got the black pieces. Let's see. Oh, queen's pawn. Okay, so this is one tempo down version of a big threat, or a trap, rather, that black can fall for. What I'm threatening is this, and the king is just stuck. So white already needs to choose very wisely. Let's see. If they take, it's game over. I think that's also game over, because we can give this check. No need to freeze, actually, because the king has... The king's practically already frozen, right? It can't step here, and all these squares are blocked off by its own pieces. So, yeah, that's unfortunately just game over for white. What they could have tried, well, of course, blocking with a piece normally just hangs the king to the jump, so that wouldn't work. They can freeze the bishop and do this, which is a try, idea of one of these pieces. But we can... Oh, also the knight, I guess, could try to jump back. But what we would do is counter freeze. Actually, is the counter freeze even necessary? It might not be. And regardless, we would bring the queen here. And now there's two attackers. The king is completely boxed in. Step here, we jump and take on the next turn. So no matter what, king is going to hang to the jump. Fundamental issue here is playing d4. It's not instantly losing as it is, let's say I flip the board, and if we get e4, d5, this black is already lost because the bishop check hits the king. There's nowhere for the king to escape. The queen is coming. It's the scissor trap, and black is toast. But Here, our bishop needs one more move to come in. Definitely want to play e4, maybe e3 if you're feeling conservative about bishop attacks of the form that we often play as white against the diagonal, but no, e4, best by test. Let's see if we can get one more. Right, black again. Let's see if we can get a more full-length game. E4, very good start. Let's play c6, cutting off this diagonal. C is for champions. Let's see which move white chooses. That's a move. Often we see this or this, but the knight is actually something you see at the high levels as well. Let's just develop. We'll make the normal structure. We can kind of get a transposition of the normal setup if the bishop comes to c4. Okay, that's pretty normal. Let's put the queen on c7 so we spy this and our king's weak point via the jumps. Oh, white playing very well here. It's making a good setup, expanding in the center. We need to develop. Let's, and by develop, I say develop and then I push pawns. But the reason for this is to prevent the bishop from coming here. No, don't pre-move. And allow for fianchettos. That's a good move. We can bring the bishop. We could start maneuvering the knight, which seems like a reasonable plan. Let's do that. If pawn push, we come here. Okay, all very good. What shall we do now? Let's, we can expand. Let's put the bishop here. I know it looks pretty blocked off, but the center can open later. And it does prevent some issues on this diagonal. Sometimes there's threats of jumping and taking the rook in the corner. Okay, very good development from white here. I am a little bit underdeveloped, actually. They're playing this very well. How are we going to get our remaining pieces into the game? This is not a move because we get forked. This is also not a threat because the queen can decide to just take. Let's bring the knight over here. In normal chess, this looks weird and wrong, but in spell chess, there's ideas of this. Okay, the knight is trying to attack us. I think that's fine. It's not really anything massive that it can take. So let's develop the bishop and try to get the slightly annoying knight out of there. Also ideas of maybe taking on h2. Oh, okay. If we take, and whichever pawn takes doesn't greatly matter, we're going to have to pick a square for our knight. And it can't be there, of course, because the queen will just take. Castling is a move. Don't know what I want to commit to either side right away. We can also push, but then things get kind of messy. Yeah, I really want to take, but then where to put the knight? Let's just leave that there for now, and let's expand on the queen side and maybe try to create something in here. If the queen moves somewhere that it's not watching this diagonal, then we have ideas of taking the knight and playing knight g4. The bishop and knight are controlling this square, so... Oh! Okay. They've taken our knight with the bishop and a freeze, so trying to win a piece. So we should now immediately be thinking of ways to counterattack without spending the counter freeze. Now, we can jump and take, basically trading a jump for a freeze, which is interesting and usually better when you still have a jump left. But I think we can do even better with this, threatening to take here with a freeze on the king, because they won't be able to counter freeze, having just spent a freeze. So let's go ahead and take. Now, saving the bishop runs into freeze here and takes, and that's game over. And if they save the king and or the knight, then we just take, and we've won a freeze, which is looking quite good for us. Oh, it's actually going to be really nice to have this diagonal. Yeah, okay, they find it. Well done. Very good. We will now take the bishop. And the rook jumping is not really a good idea because we also have a jump. And this bishop is very, very nice, preventing castling. We maybe have ideas putting the rook on b8. Of course, then we do have to consider this. This knight is kind of annoying, though. How are we going to get rid of that? There's maybe this, plant the knight here. Okay, that's seems like a reasonable move. Slightly pressuring this. I think that's fine. Let's push here. Since white doesn't have a light square bishop, I'm not quite as afraid of this diagonal. And again, the purpose of this is to... Oh, okay. Very good. Yeah, if takes now, I don't have that square. Very well thought out from my opponent. Let's drop the bishop back and maybe unleash it on this diagonal toward the heavy pieces. Ah, they want to take with a check and freeze, which would be very scary indeed. Ooh, yeah, actually those double knights. I probably shouldn't have allowed this. Yeah, that's quite scary. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm a little bit low on time, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to take, and then we may jump and take. We do pretty much go down a jump, but getting rid of those annoying knights is, I think, pretty worth it. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. White does have the option of double jumping because this square is now transparent, so this square could be jumped and it could take our bishop, but much simpler, whoops, to just take the knight normally. So, trade of pieces, we go down a jump, but since we're up a freeze and our position will be a lot more stable, I'm perfectly happy with that. Now, we're not threatening to take this pawn, because that would blunder the queen to the jump. That would be terrible. This is also a nice square for the queen. It wasn't doing a whole lot back here, and we couldn't get it here due to the rook patrolling it. Oh, wow, we get to keep the knight. Okay. Interesting. So, unfortunately, I can't take here because our jump's on cooldown. Let's just reroute the knight. At some point, we can maybe think about this, threatening the queen with the jump along the diagonal. Do have to watch out for this square, but with no light square bishop for white, it's not quite so big a problem. We may see rook here, but our queen does defend on the diagonal via the jump. So if they don't do that, or even if they do, what are our plans exactly? Probably rook b8. Am I scared of rook jumps and takes? A little bit, but I think after knight e7, we'll have the activity of the rook to... Oh, okay. Very tricky. They want to follow it up with this rook attack. Fortunately, we don't have to rely on the jump. We can... Oh, actually, we kind of do. Well, yeah, no, we don't. We can come here, and they can take, but then our jump will come back and we take the queen. So, rook here, take the queen with the knight. If bishop takes, we jump and take. And we win the queen for some stuff. I don't see any way for white to attack the king along other dimensions. Again, with the absence of the light square bishop. Oh, they do want to win our queen. Yeah, with the jump. Okay. That's a good move. So basically, we've traded queens, and we've won the jump back. We're also up a piece still, which is quite good. Let's harass the rook a bit. Why not? I think now I might be ready to castle kingside. Because with the queens off the board, it's a lot harder for... let's harass the rook a little bit further. No jump, and even if there was, we could take. This is also a very nice square for the bishop. Now we can castle. This file is pretty closed down, so not too worried about the rook. Let's counterattack the rook. The rook pretty much has to go back. Takes, of course, we just win the exchange. If you try to freeze, I don't see how that's going to work out, because we'll just counter freeze, and it's very, very hard for white to make an attack with only this dark square bishop active. Opponent gotta decide very soon. They got 6 seconds. Come on. You can do it. Make a move, any move. Maybe? Ah. Okay. GG. That was very tough. Very tough. Well played from our opponent. Anyway, let's recap. We got a normal opening. This knight move is a little bit of an uncommon choice, but it's strong. It's pretty much just a transposition, and so I chose this to prevent here. There's maybe queen c6 as well to prevent the knight from coming here immediately. Don't know that makes a huge difference. Queen c7 is a useful move when white's playing potentially this structure. Expanding the center, I love to play this position with the white pieces, so I think white made a great decision with the opening. We clamp down, and you can see that black is a little bit cramped, and it just takes patience. We're playing it safe. Potential ideas sometimes of sacking here. It doesn't work in this case because the diagonal is a little bit blocked. We try to threaten the knight, and here our knight is really sort of a burden, because if we were to take here, does it matter which way it takes? Probably this way. Idea to open the file. Then, actually this drops the knight as well, because both the queen and the rook, white would jump the pawn, take the knight, and we would just blunder the knight for a jump, and the activity of the rook would be very strong in white's favor. So we couldn't do that. We would have to jump back here, and yeah, this is unpleasant for black. Very poor development. So I think I'm pretty happy with my choice of playing b4. And here this is white's first serious mistake. If you're going to do a freeze, you really want to target the king. Make sure you have some way of attacking the king, because if you don't, it's very likely that your opponent will find some way of attacking your king or some higher value piece, or even an equal value piece, and then it's just a trade in terms of material, and you lose a freeze. So here, just to show what would have happened if white had maybe tried to trade off the bishop, we would have frozen all of this stuff, takes, and now notice how white's freeze is on cooldown, having used it just 2 moves ago and not 3. So no matter what they do, there's no way to take this pawn, and we're going to take the king and win the game on the next turn. So they wisely chose to take the pawn. We took the bishop. They did try to create some attack on the king side, and white's position is still not bad. Being down to freeze is a little bit tough, but game is far from over. This didn't really do anything for me, I guess, in retrospect. Also, this was probably not my greatest move, because it allowed the rook to potentially come here, the knights. Yeah, I really underestimated this move. This is very common. Often more in the opening, but clearly it appeared in the middle game as well. This threat of, let's just say I make some random move. Freezing all this stuff takes. Big threat on my king, and I would have wanted to take quite a bit of time to calculate what follow-up attacks white might have had. So I think I was pretty happy to get this trade. Now we do still have this issue to contend with, therefore I chose to take the knight. And I think white really should have taken here. I think they were worried about my taking this pawn, but that doesn't work at all, because they would just jump the bishop and take my queen. So we've won a piece here. We save the knight, of course, only good square for it. This is a loss of a jump as well, as it turned out. We have to counter freeze or we lose our king, which is no good. If opponent had done this, we would have just taken the queen, and then we're completely winning. I expected maybe this also, but again, we take the queen, we're completely winning. So we took the queen, they took the queen, but they had to spend a jump to do it, which means we're now just up a piece, having spent the jump to take here, and then spending the jump to take back. And then we just sort of move around a bit. Here, yeah, this is an issue. The rook goes back. Oops. We take the pawn. And white flagged in, I think, this position. But we are up a freeze and a piece, and we have pretty nice piece activity. This is coming. It is looking very, very good for black. But very good game to my opponent. Very well played. Seems like they've got a good future ahead of them if they decide to keep playing spell chess. But speaking of the future, I think we're going to wrap it up for today here, and we'll play more in the future against higher rated opponents next time. See you then. Bye.